Welcome back to Rowdy Sports. This is Peach bringing you a day 3 match preview, Brazil versus Morocco, which I think is probably the biggest game of the tournament so far, in my opinion. This is the 4th meeting between these two countries. It's going to be in New Jersey at MetLife. In the previous 3 meetings, Brazil have 1-2, kept clean sheets in both those matches, but Morocco have recently beat Brazil 2-1 in a friendly. So there is possibilities of things happening. But then again, it's a friendly, a million substitutions. It's not always, there's a million reasons. All right, so let's get right into it. Let's talk about these two teams. Do I think that Neymar is going to start? No, I don't. I don't think Neymar is going to start. Do I think players like Igor Thiago and Vinicius Jr. are going to start up top? Yeah, I absolutely do. Let's talk about Vinicius Jr. before we talk about anybody else. My God, what stat lines. In the 25-26 season, he had 16 goals with 5 assists, 36 matches played in La Liga, and in the Champions League, 14 matches played, 5 goals, 6 assists. Do I think he's a goal threat? Big time. Yeah, I think he's an incredible goal threat. Not only do I think he's the goal threat, I think he gets a goal in this game. He is probably the biggest superstar on the field. Maybe not the biggest individual, but definitely the biggest goal threat on the field outside of this person that we're going to speak about next, Igor Thiago, out of nowhere. 38 matches played, 22 goals scored in the Premier League for Brentford. All right. This guy is big, 6'3", 24 years old, and hungry. He is going to fight for everything in that back line against that defense. Him and Vinicius are going to be safe bets, to say the least, especially in fantasy, I believe. While I don't think they're going to be taking any of the set pieces, they're just going to be goal threats. They're going to get shots. They're going to get shots on target, and they're going to make crosses and plays to each other, assisting shots. It's just going to happen. They're very dangerous players, and they're going to really probably end up dictating the score line in this game. Maybe not the tempo so much, but definitely the score line within this game. Other players that we need to speak about in this Brazil squad are going to be Rafinha, Bruno Guimaraes, Lucas Paqueta. They're all really sensational players. And we haven't even got to the back line yet, who is bulletproof, to say the least. They got Gabriel Magalhaes and Marquinhos leading the center backs, possibly Alisson as the goalkeeper for this game. Danilo and Alexandro. This is a hard Brazilian team to break down. I mean, their line is so deep that it's hard to see them losing this game in any way, shape, or form. While I think that Morocco are a great team, you still have to deal with the likes of Rafinha, who played 22 matches. He got injured in the middle of the season. 22 matches, 13 goals, 3 assists, and in the Champions League, he scored 3 goals, had 2 assists in 7 matches. That's nothing to slouch at. You got players like Martinelli on the bench. You got players like Estavio on the bench. It's not his actual name, but I think it sounds better. Estavio. Hey. Players that I think are going to be really important, that are going to dictate the tempo of the game, are going to be Bruno Guimaraes and Lucas Paqueta. Let's talk about Bruno for a second. Captain of the Newcastle team, maybe possibly coming into this team as a big voice for that team. I mean, he really does dictate the tempo of the game. Not only does he do that, but he scores and assists on top of it. 9 goals, 5 assists, 29 matches played. He is a threat. He takes free kicks, he takes spot kicks, and he's only going to really have to compete with Lucas Paqueta for those spot kicks and free kicks, whom I don't think is quite as good, but isn't anything to slouch at either. He is an incredibly talented player. Let's get into the Morocco squad for a second, who also aren't no slouches, right? Let's talk about Ashraf Hakimi before anybody else. I mean, first of all, won the Champions League with PSG 2 years in a row. Has been consistently considered the best right back in all of football. Consistently gets assists, consistently drives play on that right-hand side, and he has great link-up play with the person in front of him, who's Brahim Diaz, and we'll get out into that in a second. Hakimi in the Champions League this season had 1 goal and 6 assists in 13 games. The season before that, in 17 matches, he had 4 goals and 5 assists. You know what I mean? He gets it. In Ligue 1, not as impressive numbers. He only played about 18 matches. He didn't start all of them because, PSG don't really have to compete with a lot in France. So, yep. 2 goals, 1 assist, but in the season before that, 4 goals, 6 assists in 25 matches. He's just an incredibly talented player and definitely a danger man. He takes spot kicks, he takes free kicks. He has great defensive potential. He has offensive upside. So if you're playing fantasy sports, he is definitely someone to look at, although he is always very expensive, especially when you're doing a price point fantasy draft where you're having to pay for individual players and you have a salary cap. He is always expensive because he is so good. He just is. And then let's talk about the man who's playing in front of him, who I think is a big danger threat, Brahim Diaz. Not exactly the tallest individual, 5'7", 26-year-old, lot of experience, Real Madrid regular, 30 games, 1 goal, 6 assists. He's not exactly the standout player that everyone screams about, but let's talk about him in AFCON, where he scored 5 goals and was considered one of the players of the tournament. He played sensationally in AFCON, and this is really where Brahim Diaz shines, is in the international team. He has the support of every player around him, really just feeding him the ball and trying to make things happen because they recognize that he is a star. If he played more at maybe another club, he'd be way, way more successful. But when you have to compete for hours at Real Madrid with likes of Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe, you're not going to get the start. You're definitely not getting a start over Mbappe. You're just not. He's not. And that's his stats reflect the fact that he's not getting those starts. He's just coming in. But in Morocco, he starts every game. 5 goals out of 7 games is very impressive, especially at AFCON. It is a huge tournament. There is no middle ground to that. It's one of the most aggressive tournaments in the world. So, to get 5 goals there is really, really impressive in itself. If I'm going to pick a team to win here, it's probably going to be Brazil. I'm going to say maybe 3-1 Brazil. I think that's being a little ambitious. I think a lot of people are going to say 2-1 or 2-0 Brazil, but I think they get 3 goals. I think they are probably one of the most well-rounded teams in the tournament. You can't, I'd love to say they're going to win, but I do think they're going to end up in the finals. I do. I really think that Brazil just have such an incredible squad this season. They always really do, but this more than ever. And they have had a lack of target man up top, which is really Igor Thiago now. They have that target man. And I think that was one of the pieces of the puzzle that they've really been missing. I think that Igor Thiago might, I think this game will tell us a lot. I think this game will tell us a tremendous amount about this Brazil squad. And I'm really looking forward to it. I am going to get sauced watching this game. And I hope to share that with you in the future. Thank you. So, recap, Brazil win, 3-1. That's a match preview.